Good evening, and welcome to the New York Immigration Coalition's Road to Recovery video series. My name is Nora Melendez, and I am the manager of Immigrant Services Support events at the NYC, and I will be your host. The NYC has put together a series of videos to share information and resources regarding economic recovery and resilience, education, and social services to equip immigrant New Yorkers facing the challenges of dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we'll be hearing from brave students sharing their experiences navigating the New York City public school system, as well as Amelia, the New York City program manager at Schools. We will be discussing the challenges immigrant students face when accessing educational resources and opportunities, as well as the supports available to navigate those spaces and obstacles. As a first-gen student myself, I know how overwhelming this can be and welcome any questions you might have. To kick us off, we'll be hearing from New York City Council member Rita Joseph. She represents District 40, which is comprised of Flatbush, Prospect Leftyers Gardens, Kensington, Ditmas Park, and Southern Crown Heights. Prior to joining the City Council, Councilmember Joseph was a public school teacher and a community activist. Thank you so much for joining us, Councilmember.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for this amazing workshop. As you know, I've been an educator for the past 22 years in public school system, and as an immigrant myself, I moved here from Haiti with my grandparents when I was 2 years old. So I get the immigrant experience, and that's one of the reasons why I've always felt that in our schools, we should provide the space, the support, language access, culture. I've always told everyone that the language, the culture is not a deficit, but it's a superpower. And we should use that to uplift and empower our students through language, through culture, through music, through dance, and to celebrate all that they bring to the table, a native language, a culture, and all that they are. So tonight, I'm very honored to be here among you. I'm one of you. You're me, I'm you. We share some of the same experiences, the same American dream that our parents wish for us. So as a council member and the chair of education, know that I will be fighting on your behalf, your advocate, your voice, your ally, and a friend and a champion. So I am honored to be here tonight to learn and to listen as well, to listen to all that you have to say and all that I may be able to fight on your behalf. So once again, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be a partner and a friend and an ally.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. And it is great to hear that we have you on our side and that you are advocating for us. It's a true pleasure to have you here tonight. And now please join me in welcoming Amelia.
Thank you, Nora, and the NYC team for hosting this space for our immigrant students to know about their options in higher education. My name is Amelia, and I am the program manager with Schools. And Schools is a nonprofit organization partnering with educators and community leaders all across New York City and beyond. We have many different regions that we're working with as well to ensure safe and inclusive schools for undocumented and mixed status students and families. So a little bit about me. I grew up undocumented and navigated the public school system on my own with the support of my parents, my community. And going after my post-secondary dreams was incredibly difficult. It's challenging, it's hard work. So I'm very happy that these spaces exist for our newer generation and hoping that this can expand their dreams and their access to the options that they have out there. So thank you all.
Thank you, Amelia. And yes, echoing all of that, it's incredible to be able to be part of this work after going through the experience and really extending that hand that I so much wanted when I was younger. So thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure. As a reminder to everyone, this is a public space. We want to make sure that it's as safe as possible for everyone. So please refrain from sharing personal information. If you're looking for additional supports, our contact information has also been put in the chat and will be displayed on the screen later on in the webinar as well. So as we dive into the immigrant student experience within the New York City public schools, we have two brave students with us today sharing their experiences, the challenges they face, and the obstacles they've overcome. Our first student is Staci, and this is a peek into her story.
Hi, my name is Staci. I'm in the 12th grade. I am originally from Jamaica. I have been in the US for approximately 1 year and 2 months. I'm currently living in Brooklyn.
So we want to know, how was that transition from the Jamaican school system and then now the New York City public school system? How did that feel for you? What was that like?
I think the biggest transition or the biggest challenge is the diversity in not just Brooklyn, but in New York. I came among like different culture of people, and in Jamaica, there were different cultures, but they're very rare to see in the school system. It was mostly people of the same culture as me. So coming to the US, it's a big transition.
We want to know who has supported you through this transition, or perhaps what has made this transition manageable for you?
For the most half, I am very self-motivated. I just tell myself that, listen, girl, you have to do this. This is something that you have to do, and you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it extremely well. But also the teachers, the college office has helped me a lot in my transition in high school with information, because at one point in high school, I thought that I could not go to college. I could not go to college as an undocumented student. I really wiped college out of my mind as to going right after school, right after high school, which I want to go. So I think myself and teachers have helped, like, played a big role in how I navigate myself in the new system.
But now we also want to know, every high school student has nightmares around standardized testing. So we're talking about the regions, the SATs, the ACTs, all of these exams that feel very, very scary, right? Especially for someone that has just come in to the country. And I believe you came in during a remote learning. So we want to know your experience with those. How did you navigate those very complicated exams, scary exams? And where are you in that SAT, ACT regions space?
For me, for the time I have been here, I came here during remote learning, so I did not get to take the regions or the SATs. And for the SATs, it's not required for a lot of colleges. So a lot of colleges and universities waive it. It's optional on the application process. And the regions also, it is waived. It is waived for now. I'm not sure if when the whole pandemic is like, eased and everything is back to normal, if it will be a thing again. But for now, the Regents is waived in high school, in the public school system, from my information. Also, when
Of
I
course.
came here, I had no clue about the SATs. I've never taken the
Mm.
SATs. I have never read anything about the SATs because I'm from the Caribbean, where we do Caribbean examinations.
Mm.
So with the SATs, I actually did the SATs. I taken it
Mm-hmm.
once and I've never took it again. It was oblivious. I did not know what is this SATs. I just know that, okay, I'm just gonna take it in case I need to submit scores. So I took it. I wasn't extremely proud of my grades. So in the college application process, I choose for it to be optional. I choose not to submit the application. And if any student who is applying to college, if you're not comfortable with submitting an essay or the SAT scores, you don't have to. It's not extreme pressure. And a lot of
Mm.
schools, it is optional and you don't have to submit it. So that's the good part.
Is there something that you wish your teachers had known about your transition coming from the Jamaican school system into the New York City public school system? Is there something that you wish your teachers had known about you?
From my experience, I wish teachers would actually know that you're coming from a different background. You're coming from a different culture. What you're given, it's not the same as what you were given back then. So it's gonna take us, students or kids that are coming into a different system, to know that it's gonna be harder for us to navigate ourselves into the system. It might take us a while. A lot of kids, it took them longer. A lot of kids, it's a shorter period, but it's gonna take us a pretty it's gonna be hard for us to actually navigate ourselves into the system because it's a whole different system. Everything about it, depending on where you're from, the history that you are being taught. It's just a whole lot.
But I want to know where you are in your college application process and if there's something that you're still confused about or maybe a challenge that's coming up as you begin to wrap up your senior year.
For now, I'm more confident in going out and pursuing what I want to and saying what I want to and let the feeling of you're not gonna get it. It might not happen right now, but after a while you're gonna get it, you're gonna get the hang of it and everything will be okay. I wish I could actually say that to myself when I just came here as a junior and started high school. I have been admitted to a couple colleges, mostly CUNYs, because I want to attend a CUNY school. It's financially, I think it's best for me. I am confused about the benefits that are there, scholarships. I'm still trying to find my way around that and what it's accessible to me, what I'm eligible for.
What is your next plan? What are you doing to access these resources that sometimes can feel hidden?
For this process, I have gotten a lot of help from M School. I'm not sure how much immigrant students have known that, but M Schools has made the process of searching it's made it very much easier. They make you feel safe as to, yeah, it's okay to be confused about this, but here's what we are here for you to talk to. My teacher at school has also helped me a lot, so I would like to say the biggest thank you to both. I would encourage all immigrant students. There's one teacher. You can ask about departments that are there because the departments are there in the public school system to help out immigrant students. There's always that one teacher you can confide in, explain to them that, listen, this is going on. I would like to be here by this time. I would like some help with my whole process into this new system. And when you get that help, it will be so much better. You'll be so much more relieved. It's that's the change that you really have been looking forward to.
What that means for our students is, connecting with organizations, asking for help, looking for that teacher that they trust to share, hey, I need help, I need support. This is my story. Just knowing that educators are there to support students. That is literally our jobs. What are your plans after high school? Like, what are your dreams?
So my plans after high school, I really want to go to college. I really want to go to college. I want to earn my first degree. It's not so something that I need this for a career, but it's mostly for self-fulfillment to show others that you can do it too. I did it, you can do it too. I also want to help others who might be facing some complication with this whole transition and the process.
I do have a question around credits. I know credits are super important for you to get the high school diploma, and I know that you came a year and 2 months ago. So I'm wondering what happened to your credits from your school in Jamaica. Were they able to get transferred to your school currently here in New York? How was that process in trying to get those credits counted here in your school?
I think for the credits, it was the most difficult part of my high school journey. So my credits, math, English, those were subjects that I did in school. Also, how the system is in Jamaica, you also take biology classes, physics classes, you do social sciences. So those credits are transferred over into what was needed from the grade 9 upwards. However, I did Caribbean history. So after my 4 years or 4 years of doing Caribbean history, it was not it had it held no weight in the US. So I had to go to summer school and I had to do US history, economics, government. It was really challenging. It was really challenging, but I pulled through. It's going to be hard, but it's not going to be hard until the point where you can't do it. And even if you fail, there's always time to do it. Never rush yourself. Always tell yourself that, listen, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities. If I fail, there's always a second chance. There's no rush on your process. Everyone's process is different.
I would also encourage our students to speak to their counselors right away, right? And making sure that all the courses that they need are being tracked. I think that's really key.
For me, the teachers, as I said before, the teachers are really the ones that will look at your transcript and tell you that, oh, I see you did not take this social studies class. You should probably ask your counselor about that. So a lot of times you can ask other students, other teachers that, how much credits did you have for education or for science or for math? You can just ask questions. It's always okay to ask questions, but you can ask teachers. I would say if you have a social worker at your school, it's always okay to ask them. It's always okay to go to the college office and ask, I looked at my transcript. I see that I have this amount of credits. How much more credits would I need? It's always okay to go to the guidance counselor also and say, am I missing any classes? Is there any classes that I need to take? Am I needing to do classes in the summer to prepare me for graduation? Because you don't want to wait until that time. When it comes, they're going to tell you that, you're missing these classes, you have to go back. So just ask questions. Never be afraid to ask questions. Always ask questions. No matter how much it might seem that you're annoying someone, because it will feel like that. But ask away.
Thank you, Amelia. Stacia, having grace with ourselves as we navigate these challenges is super important, and it's great to see that being uplifted. And I want to echo that ImSchools is such a valuable resource for parents, students, and educators alike. We have placed that contact information in the chat, but Amelia, the work you guys do is incredible. So we're very grateful you're able to join us and answer some of the questions to help current students. And like one of the first ones being, if I've recently arrived to the US and have been told that I need to take the SATs and ACTs soon, what does that mean for me?
Of course. And I'm here processing that interview. She's so powerful and beautiful. And I'm so lucky that I got to really talk to her. But I know we had conversations about the SATs, the ACTs, and how scary these could be. So just a quick overview of the exams. The SATs and the ACTs are all exams used for college admissions decisions and merit-based scholarship awards. And both exams cover reading, writing, and math. However, the ACT covers one science section, testing your critical thinking skills. And then we get into those essays that could also be scary, but the SAT doesn't have an essay component, but the ACT has an optional one. Now, what our students should know is that unfortunately, the SAT and the ACT are not available in languages other than English. So that's something that can make our ELs feel a little reluctant to take these exams, but it's good exposure because it's recommended that you still take it since it exposes you to the challenging material that you might see in college. So the good news is that some colleges and universities do not require the SAT and ACT scores. So these are considered the test blind colleges, and many community colleges do not require the SAT and the ACT scores. So don't think that because your score is low that you are not getting into college, because that's false. And now from CUNY, they have released a statement around this. Ordinarily, students can demonstrate that they meet the university's proficiency requirements in English and math based on their SAT, ACT, or New York State region test scores. But because of the pandemic and the many disruptions caused by the pandemic, the university will not collect or use the SAT and the ACT scores for admissions or proficiency determinations through the spring of 2023 admission cycle. So that's something that you should definitely check with your college counselor, make sure that you're getting all the information correctly.
Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping up to date with that information as it continues to evolve and change in light of the pandemic. So what are some of the resources available to help students prepare for these tests in such a tight time frame?
Right, so the resources are really, really important. But my advice as a former teacher, I was in the classroom for 5 years, is to make your current classes your best friends. So these classes are designed to prepare you for college and the SAT, ACT exams, measure your college readiness. So think about the reading materials presented in your classes, like your English classes or your history classes. These often require you to think critically and present arguments using evidence. So similarly to what you will see on the exam, these skills prepare you for dense reading and complex vocabulary. So think of your learning as skills that you're developing and give yourself the opportunity to learn more and more each day. It won't happen overnight. It's something that you just have to work on, like going to the gym and working out, right? So every day is a practice in class. And if you need more challenges, like Daisy said, don't be afraid to speak to your teachers directly and let them know that you want to improve.
Yeah, definitely building out those habits and getting comfortable with it, I think is the best place to start. And so what are some of the resources available if I am newly arrived and an English language learner or an L?
Yeah, so as an L, you have rights and the DOE protects you, right? So L students can receive testing accommodations, such as extended testing time, often time and a half. So Ls may take Regents exams in separate locations or any standardized exam in different locations individually or in a smaller group. Students are allowed to use bilingual dictionaries and glossaries in your language, except for the English Regents exam. So we do encourage you to talk to your college counselor first, since there have been so many changes to the graduation requirements. So if you entered school in your senior year, you must pass 3 Regents exams in English, math, and US history. But your principal may exempt you from the science exam and the global history exam. But this is information that you should get from your college counselor directly. But it's important for you to know that if you recently arrived to the country and you are expected to check off this very long list of things before you graduate, that you have options, but you must reach out to your support system in school.
Yeah, and if I'm struggling to understand that material, right, and I need that additional support, what are the multilingual resources that exist? Like, how can I access them? Where can I find them if I'm struggling to?
That could happen, right? So your school should have tested you for language proficiency when you enter the school. And so once they do that, they make the best decision for you in terms of placing you in a classroom where your needs will be met as an English language learner. So that should be your first introduction to school and the plan that you should have in place in order for you to access a new language. So this can look differently in every school and depending on the school that you're in. But often you might have 2 teachers in a room. One might be the language teacher, and your teachers are there to support you, and other English language learners understand the content and support you in participating in class. So they're also there as a support system for you. So since they're in charge of making your learning accessible for you, they should always consider them your partners. You can make use of English programs available in your school, and every school has different ones as well. So maybe you have libraries or tutoring services that can support you in completing the work independently as well. But I do want you to know that learning takes time, and it happens in and out of the classroom. And it takes a lot of discipline from you too, to do your homework, practice with friends. I would always tell my students, listen to music in English and watch your favorite shows in English too. But don't forget your native language. Don't push it to the side, but also don't be afraid to give English a chance.
Yeah, definitely making space for both and allowing them both to shape us, right? There's power in all of it. So moving into like immigration status, and if I decide like I want to get my GED or my HIST, do I need to be a US citizen to take those tests?
No, you don't. You can take those exams regardless of your immigration status. So you do not need to be a US citizen. The New York City Department of Education offers referral centers that can help you enroll in their Pathways to Graduation program. And this program explores all the possible paths to a high school diploma. It allows you to learn about your student rights, which is really important. Understand your high school transcript, which can be super complicated. And if needed, provides referrals for childcare, counseling, substance abuse treatment, and additional resources. So that's something that you really want to get connected with.
Yeah, we definitely want to lean on those systems that already exist and that already give us access to so much support. So changing it a little bit, dealing with the transitioning to a new country, with the chaos that sometimes emerges internally about having a mixed status family or different immigration status from my friends or my classmates, and struggling with the pressures of school in general, it's a lot to balance. So are there any mental health resources or services available to me?
Of course. And again, your school is there to support you, right? So your school should always have counseling services and social workers, like Dacia mentioned, available to you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. These are trained professionals there to serve you and support your development as a young person trying to navigate difficult situations. So just understand that at any point, we all do need help. And help is accessible in your school. Just to let you all know as well, this information may be shared with your parent or guardian if the counselor believes you're in danger or need familial support. But it's important for you to also have that support system from other adults in your life, and your counselor should be making the right decision for you always.
Thank you. Yes, so mental health support is super important, and it's great to hear that New York City schools have those built in already. NYC Well also offers free confidential mental health support. You can speak to a counselor via phone, text, or chat and get access to mental health and substance abuse services in more than 200 languages, 24/7 every day of the year. And we recognize that like applying to college can be overwhelming and intimidating, especially if you're coming from an undocumented or mixed status family. To share a bit more about her experience navigating college as a first-gen student, we have Valeria sharing her story with us.
My name is Valeria. I'm 18 years old. I'm a freshman in college. I'm majoring on political science. I'm originally from Colombia, and I came to the US 2017 when I was 14 years old, and I live in New York.
So we want to start by asking you to tell us a little bit about yourself, to share a little bit about your experience as a student in high school.
As a student in high school that came here with basically the basis of English, because gladly my grandfather helped me out with English courses when I was little. So I was actually coming here, with my basis. I think it was how I imagined, like back in my country, High School Musical. Like I thought those were, the high school characteristics, but it was totally different, but not in a bad way. So being a high school student, a new high school student, it was hard because I thought nobody was going to like help me through my journey, but they were all different. Like they were all from different countries, and they were actually good people.
I want to know, how was the college process for you as a high school student that came here when you were just a freshman?
Since I came here, I've heard about, oh, college is important, college is this and that. But I'm gonna talk about my basis at home because my dad didn't want to college. My dad didn't go to college, but my mom did 2 years. So she implied that to me, like, oh, you have to go to college. This is what you need to do to like succeed, or like that's what that was her mindset. So I was so interested, like, oh, what's college? Like, how would I experience college? And then when I was a junior, or like maybe way before, they were like, oh, are you applying to college? I was like, yeah. And I didn't even know where college was. So I was already excited. The whole process was a school counselor that helped me. And, without him, I wouldn't even be in college because I didn't know how to apply or like look for the applications, or make these Zoom presentation, or doing my essay because I needed an essay for going to college. So it was almost like I had someone to support me throughout the whole journey.
I'm wondering, how do you deal with taking these exams by yourself, right? You have all this support from, it seems, from your college counselor in accessing college, but I'm wondering, how did you do it? How did you manage with the PSATs, the SATs, the regions? I'm sure it's different in Colombia, right? You still have to take exams, but how did you deal with a brand new system here in high school?
My family didn't like experience the whole exams with me because they were like all in working. But um, since I was little, I like to like study. I like, the feeling, like you have the books, your notebooks, you're gonna be like focused on your studies. But in Colombia, we do not have SATs or PS or regions or anything like that. So I was like, me taking an exam for like 2 to 3 hours, like that's impossible. At the maximum time you can take an exam in Colombia is like an hour and a half. That's it. So I was like, okay, this exam is in English. It's gonna be all in English. You have to be prepared for like any word, or like if you don't know this word, you have to like make it up or try to find like the real meaning of it, and then keep going because I can't stop. So studying for the like SATs or regions was hard, but I ended up passing all of them.
How was that transition from high school to college? And we also want to know if there's something that you wish you had known before going to college, or maybe as a high school student applying to college.
First off, when you're in high school, they actually have people to do things for you. Like, okay, do this, do that, please. Like, they remind you actually what you have to do. But then when I went to college, it was like, okay, this is your paper, read it, and then you figure it out. The whole, burden, it's giving up to you. So I call it the big jungle. So the big jungle really scared me because there was like, I was scared of like not fitting in, but it went right. Like I felt like it was like high school, but more intense, and it just felt right. It just felt like, okay, I'm gonna um, get used to it. I just want to say this. I feel like being undocumented in college, it's like I'm unique from everyone else. Like look at me. I'm doing this without this kind of like paper thing, and then you have it and I don't, but I'm still doing it.
Yeah,
So I feel like that encouraged me to like do better.
good. That's that pride that you need to have, right? Because you're right. Sometimes we have to work twice as hard, and it's not always fair. But as you mentioned, being brave and being an advocate for yourself is really important in order for you to win. And then, what are some things maybe that you wish you had known back then about college? And also thinking about a lot of our high school students that are in this process right now that have your similar story. What are some things that you wish to tell them?
Little Valeria was very shy to ask questions. So I encourage all of you that please ask questions if you feel like you're not going in the right track, or if you're confused, you have to ask questions, because if you don't speak up, people are like, they're never gonna notice you. So like, you have to be known. You have to be prepared for like, okay, I have to do this appointment. I have to go. I have to talk to people for them to understand my situation. And for another advice I will give, it's like, don't be scared of the big jungle, because the big jungle tries to scare you sometimes, but like, there's nothing to be scared about if you're confident on yourself and you have your family to support you, and then you have, like I do, like a teacher to support me. So don't be scared of it. You're more than that.
Thank you, Valeria. And I think that's definitely going to resonate with a lot of high school students that are afraid to knock on a college counselor's door and ask questions, right? And those scary questions that eventually we have to own, right? In order to reach our dreams, and definitely about bravery. If you can get through high school, you can get through college, right?
Thank you so much, Amelia and Valeria, for sharing that and for walking us through it all. There's so much power in owning our story and not allowing ourselves to be limited. And yes, we have to take up space. We are here. We deserve space, and we don't need to ask for it. We can just take it. And I'm so happy to see that happening. So can you walk us through, if I'm an undocumented student, right? Am I eligible for financial aid?
So this is where it gets tricky, right? Our students have these big dreams of college, and then they get that tuition bill. So unfortunately, undocumented students and students with DACA are not eligible for federal student aid. But in New York, you're eligible to apply for the New York State DREAM Act, which gives undocumented and other students access to New York State administered student financial aid to support their higher education costs. So there are also merit-based scholarships and private scholarships open to undocumented students, or open to students regardless of immigration status. So that's where we have to do a little bit of digging to find these resources. But financial aid, unfortunately, is closed to undocumented students.
Yeah, it definitely does make it harder when those resources that are built in for everyone else aren't really built in for us. But I guess another follow-up question to that would be like, can I even attend college without a social security number?
Some of our students believe that since financial aid is closed, then college must be closed as well, but that's not true. You can go to college if you don't have a social security number. You don't need one. If you have an ITIN number, you may use that instead, but again, speak to your counselor in that application process. But the one thing that you should know is that you can definitely go to college regardless of your immigration status.
Great. And then I think one of the most confusing parts, or at least for me, trying to navigate college and being the first in my family doing it, was, what is the FAFSA and why is it asking for so much personal information? Why is it asking for my parents' social security number? And what do I do if they don't have one, but I do?
First, FAFSA can be confusing, but FAFSA is a form used to determine your eligibility for financial aid. It's not the actual financial aid, but it's used to determine financial aid to support your education. Your parents' citizenship status doesn't affect your eligibility for financial student aid. So FAFSA doesn't ask about your parents' status. And since your parents' citizenship doesn't affect your ability to complete the FAFSA form, they don't need social security numbers. And if your parents just do not have those social security numbers, they must enter zeros in those boxes when FAFSA asks for those social security numbers. If they have an ITIN number, they can also use that. And I know that there's also an addition. I found this from studentaid.gov, which is a good resource. But if your parents don't have social security numbers, they won't be able to create what's called an FSA IDs. And therefore, they won't be able to sign your FAFSA electronically. So you'll have to print that out, and then your parents can sign it and then mail it to the addresses indicated. But again, your college counselor can support you with that. And that's for mixed status families.
And then I know we touched briefly on the New York State DREAM Act. So what is the New York State DREAM Act and who is eligible for it?
Yeah, the New York State DREAM Act, or the Senator Jose Peralta New York State DREAM Act, gives undocumented and other students access to New York State administered student financial aid to support their higher education costs. So to be eligible to apply for one or more New York State student financial aid programs, you must absolutely have attended a New York State high school for at least 2 years and have received a New York State high school diploma. So the eligibility is on the screen. You can follow me as we read, or you have received a New York State high school equivalency diploma, or qualify for in-state tuition at SUNY or CUNY colleges. Also apply within 5 years of earning your New York State high school diploma or equivalency diploma if pursuing an undergraduate degree, or 10 years if pursuing a graduate degree. So those are some of the requirements. And then your status matters with this New York State DREAM Act. So you must have one of the following citizenship immigration statuses. So these include having a T visa, a U visa, TPS, be without lawful immigration status, be a US citizen whose permanent home is not in New York State, be a paroled refugee whose permanent home is not in New York State, or be a permanent resident alien whose home is not in New York State. So these are the requirements that you should be aware of. And again, these are accessible online as you go ahead and apply for the New York State DREAM Act.
It's incredible to be able to offer that DREAM Act as a state, and to be able to have that. I think it is a huge relief for undocumented and mixed status students who are seeking support. Yeah. So if I am an undocumented college student, how do I navigate getting a job without work authorization?
Yeah, we get this question a lot from young people, and it's true. You go to college and money is important. You need to have access to that. But the answer can be difficult, right, to get to. And our communities have had to rely on word of mouth to access jobs that do not require you to have papers. And that's just the power of our community and how we stick together when systems just do not work out for us and we still have to live, right? So sometimes these jobs aren't what we imagined or wanted, but there are organizations that can hire you as an independent contractor, which is something that you can be even if you're undocumented. You can also start your own business and provide your services and eventually be compensated for your work. And then if you are still looking for that support, those funds, there are also scholarships out there to fund some living expenses aside from your tuition.
We also want to recognize that college isn't for everyone, and that might not be the path all students want to follow. So what are my options if I am undocumented and don't want to go to college?
Yeah, I mean, these students are highly important and they exist. They're in our classrooms, right? And this information is from Informed Immigrant, a great resource. If you haven't had exposure to them, please do so. They guide my work a lot, but your options are plenty. You can take time off from school while you save, or simply see what's out there for you to explore. You can look into vocational schools to become certified in a specific skill. Tech and coding bootcamps also offer intensive and accelerated learning opportunities for individuals interested maybe in pursuing a career in technology. So most bootcamps get students job ready in about 14 weeks, and that's something that you can look into aside from college.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to start my own business. Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible. Although it can be complicated in terms of gathering documents and organizing yourself as an undocumented young person, you can certainly start your own LLC or become an independent contractor.
Yeah, and we also want to uplift that the NYC has developed an immigrant small business guide, and it's available in 9 languages. The guide has been developed for all aspiring and current immigrant entrepreneurs, regardless of your immigration status, to help you understand your options for starting and operating your business. In New York State, it breaks down the 6 common business structures, so sole proprietorship, general partnership, limited partnership, limited liability company, also known as LLC, corporation, and worker cooperative, so that you can make an informed decision when you are building your business model. And if you're interested in learning more about how to build your small business model, please attend our webinar in partnership with SCORE on March 16th at 10 a.m. The registration link is in the chat, and live interpretation will also be available. So I am interested in going to trade school, but I don't really know where to start. So how can I find the resources to enroll in a technical or vocational school if I am undocumented?
I love that question. And I'm just gonna uplift Informed Immigrant once again. They have plenty of links and resources for you to start thinking about that plan. It's something that requires a lot of commitment, but our migrant communities and young people are committed to their growth and their careers. And I know that this is something that can be done, right? Because it's been done. If we think about our parents, they're our first example of what that looks like, despite not having access to much. And I would just encourage folks to head on over there and look through their many links that can point you to the right direction and how to get started with that.
So now we'll actually be answering questions from the audience. Please remember, this is a public space. We want to make sure it's as safe as possible for everyone, so please refrain from sharing your personal information. And if you're looking for additional support, our contact information has also been put into the chat and will be displayed at the end of the webinar as well for reference. How do schools get involved within schools?
Yes, so I will be your best friend when it comes to that. I can certainly schedule a meeting where we can talk about our many programming, right? And how we can go into your schools and provide that professional development for your educators, including your college counselors and leadership. Everyone gets involved because everyone makes a difference in our students' lives. So that's something that we can definitely offer you. And then our families can also get involved with us. We currently have a WhatsApp group that is very lively and full of amazing families and parents. We are a group of families that are dedicated to making our children's lives better. And we learn about our rights. We learn about our rights in and out of school. We currently have, we just had a session on COVID relief and how to start a family plan in case we need access to healthcare. So I would highly encourage you all to reach out to me if you want access to this family WhatsApp group. And then we also meet monthly online and hopefully in person soon. And we learn about all of these amazing resources available to our parents.
That's amazing. And then, so how would families make sure they get enrolled or involved in those situations?
So they can reach out to me and I will be able to put my email here. And I know this is a safe space and I will share so that you all can reach out to me and we can get started in connecting and bringing these resources forward.
Thank you so much, Amelia. That's so incredible and much appreciated. What's on the horizon for M Schools? What are some upcoming events or some things that we should be aware of?
Yes, I'm super excited because we are revamping our student chat. So similar to families, we also invite our students to come in and join us, and is the same sort of a community space. It's a safe space for students to get involved and share a little bit about themselves and also learn about the scholarships that, like we mentioned, seem to be very hidden and put away. So we make these visible for our students to access. And then we are also going forward with a lot of programming in schools. I know March is a very busy month for our schools and our educators are working tirelessly. every single day in those schools. And so we are coming in and supporting them as they continue to provide resources for our undocumented students and students in mixed status families. So we're always present in the school. So I'm very excited about the months coming up.
That's incredible and wonderful to hear. Yes, March is a very busy time. And it's also, I think, when all those college applications and acceptance and all of that comes to head as well. So I can definitely imagine it's a busy time for students and educators and all involved. And thank you so much for all the work you're doing to support the entire education system at the moment. It's much appreciated. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking us in this space, please feel free to reach out directly via email. We can always coordinate the supports and connect you to the services that you need. Thank you, Amelia, for joining us. Thank you, Council Member Joseph, for joining us as well. And thank you to Valeria and Dacia for sharing your experiences with us, and everyone for tuning in this evening. And to stay involved with the NYIC and M Schools, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay safe, take care, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you all.